You're listening to the Weekend Sport Podcast with Jason Pine from News Talk ZB.
Shift our attention across to tennis and the year's third major. Novak Djokovic closing in on a record-tying 8th title at Wimbledon and what would be a 5th in a row. He's beaten Jannik Sinner 6-3, 6-4, 7-6 in the men's semi-finals. It's his 35th final at all Grand Slam tournaments, more than any other man or woman in the history of tennis. He's seeking a 24th major singles championship overall. That would equal the record of Australian Margaret Court. And an 8th Wimbledon title, should he manage that, would match Roger Federer's men's record. He'll face Carlos Alcaraz. Alcaraz easing past Daniil Medvedev 6-3, 6-3, 6-3 in the other semi. Let's bring in former professional and now highly regarded tennis coach and analyst David Mustard. David, can we start with Alcaraz Medvedev? 6-3, 6-3, 6-3. Were you surprised at the apparent ease of Alcaraz's win in that semi over Medvedev?
Yeah, actually I was, because I thought Medvedev was, starting to hit his straps a little bit more, understanding the grass, and would have a little bit more to throw at him. But I think after Alcaraz beat Rune, he was a little bit nervous in that first set against him in that earlier round. And I think, he's starting to feel more comfortable and understanding what his belief is. And apparently he works with a psychologist, which he's been doing since 2020. And I think he's starting to feel more like he belongs and is just confident in his own ability. And he's really come to the fore on the grass, winning Queens leading up. So I think it was, the possibility was there. I was just surprised how easy it looked in the end, at 3 straight sets.
Has he got what it takes, Alcaraz, though, to go to another level and push Djokovic in the final?
I think he has. I think he's aware of what happened in the French Open when him and Djokovic played, and he got supposedly cramped or very nervous, and the cramp came on even though he's physically extremely fit. But I think he does have the ability to do this, and he realises that he has to actually be a little bit calmer in the bigger moments. And I think it's interesting when Djokovic was asked about this. There's 16 years difference in them, and he said that he's had all the experience, Djokovic, but Alcaraz, he said pretty much between the two of them, it's going to be who turns up on the day, who's in a better state mentally and physically on that given day, because they're both so capable of beating each other, which, they are 1-1 in head-to-head, but the last one, of course, at the French Open, Djokovic won and seemed to have that little bit of more experience and that little bit more mental aptitude. I mean, Djokovic, by Alcaraz, calls him the beast, which I think is probably quite apt, but maybe a nice beast. I don't know.
Yeah. How are you supposed to beat Novak Djokovic on grass? What are the particular specifics about? I mean, I'm sure everybody would do it if they knew the answer, but I mean, what's the best way to really push him on grass?
Well, you always feel on the grass that Djokovic, if he stays in the point, always seems to have that upper hand. I think Alcaraz is going to have to return very, very well. I think he's going to have to take it to him. But what I really impressed with Alcaraz is he can mix it up. He's known now for his drop shot, of course, especially on the clay courts, but he's using it a lot on the grass. He doesn't have a problem now mixing it up, and I think that's very important to keep Djokovic guessing a little bit what's coming at him. You don't want to give Djokovic a rhythm. And it's easy to say, but it's hard to do. Alcaraz has the weapons to do that, and has the variety to do that. So I think he can. I just hope he comes out and he's focused and calm in those big points. A lot of predictions, people are saying it's going to be Djokovic in 5 sets. I don't know. Look, Alcaraz is capable of taking this out in 4. But, you wouldn't put your house on Djokovic not to win his 24th Grand Slam. I mean, the stats on him are unbelievable. I mean, by the way, you missed one amazing stat. Djokovic has made $170 million in prize money only, let alone, obviously, all his endorsements on top of that. So the guy is a beast, is incredible, is probably the GOAT, the greatest of all time.
Let's talk hypotheticals. Let's say he wins here. That's 24. He'll stay on track for a calendar Grand Slam at the US Open. What could his final number be, David?
Well, what is he? 36 years old. He's in incredible shape. He understands exactly what he's doing, and in that department, he's very happy with his build-up for slams, which is the ones that he's going for. Honestly, there is no reason why he couldn't win another 3 or 4 slams. We've got all these young guns or whatever you want to call them coming up, but Djokovic seems to be able to handle them. I mean, with the ease that he won a semi-final, which it amazes me that he did it that comfortably, even though he said himself, it comes down to very big points. It was closer than the score seemed.
Alcaraz is 20. You mentioned the gap between them in age. He's already won the US Open. He made the semis at Roland Garros this year, as you say. Here he is in the Wimbledon final. Is this a guy who could win a dozen majors in his career?
Everybody is predicting that, and there is no reason why not. He's young, he's hungry, he seems to be comfortable overall on the big stage. Pretty amazing at 20 years old, and I see that if he can win this Wimbledon, which he's quite capable of doing, he would be the third youngest of all time. Becker and Borg, of course, winning at very young ages. So everything is in his favour. He's got a good team around him. He seems has a level head. He has variety in his game. There is no reason why he can't. But I think Djokovic, that experienced beast, is standing in his way at the present time and at Wimbledon this year.
Yeah, you talked about those other youngsters who have won it, and you don't have to be a 10-year veteran to win a major tennis tournament. But can the exuberance of youth and almost the naivety of youth be a more powerful weapon than the experience of a Djokovic, or is it really, once you get to a final like this, is experience a more powerful weapon?
I think, as Djokovic said, yes, experience is helpful. Because, he's been to so many finals, 35 finals, as you mentioned. But he himself said that on any given day, depending on whoever the better state of mental and physical aptitude on that day, they are capable of beating each other. It will come down to that. Yes, experience helps to a level. But, it's a hard one to say, Jason, because, so much can happen. I mean, Djokovic, if he plays like he did against Sinner, it could be straight sets to Djokovic. Or again, as Alcaraz, as he played against Medvedev, different type of player, of course. Alcaraz, I'd be amazed if it was 3 straight, but he could win in 4. So it's hard. I guess I'm sitting on the fence here, aren't I, Jason? Really, but
not at all. Not at all.
It's incredible. It's actually incredible, and I just like all this, new young guns coming in. But there are a number of good players around who are capable of pushing these top players now. Or especially someone at 36-year-old and Djokovic, the Serbian.
Yeah, just back to Medvedev. I don't know. I mean, like I say, he was clearly the second best against Alcaraz in this single semi-final. But is Medvedev a guy who, I don't know, could do better, should do better?
I think, to be honest, the way that he plays, I think he's very, very smart on court tactically. I think Medvedev has showed already in his career, just hasn't got that end result of enough slams yet. But he is very, very dangerous player to play against because he has some variety. He plays a little bit unorthodox, and he understands tactically, as I mentioned. I'm double saying myself, but he understands the game. He plays the game of chess very well on the court, and I think he could do better. But I don't know. There's just something not quite there to be one of the greatest of all time type players.
All right, women's final tonight. The Czech Marketa Vondrousova, first unseeded finalist since Billie Jean King 60 years ago, up against the Tunisian 6th seed Ons Jabeur. Which way you see this one going?
Oh boy, they've played about 4 times, and some stats say 4 times. Sometimes some of them say 6. But the last 2 meetings, Vondrousova. If I pronounce that correctly, Jason, I do have a problem with these names sometimes. I think she has won actually the last 2 matches in 2023, both of them against Jabeur. So So she has the upper hand, and there is a bit of confidence factor in that. The thing is, though, that at the moment, the Tunisian Jabir, she was a finalist last year in Wimbledon. She's been on the stage before. She's ranked, number 6 in the world. She's 28 years of age, and Margetta Vondrosa she's 24. They know each other's games backwards. And they both can actually have a really good game to mix up. Now, of course, the Czech, she is actually a left-hander, so she'll be hoping to use that really good wide serve on the ad court side. She's very dangerous because she can mix it up, but they're very, very similar of what they can do, which I think is really for an enthralling match. I think probably the Tunisian Jabber is the one that I think will come through. I think she's been playing very, very well to take out Sablenka, where she ended it on the 5th match point, really showed that she's probably the favourite going in.
All right, and just to finish, it's probably a personal preference more than anything, but on the grass at Wimbledon, do you enjoy watching high-class tennis on grass, or you prefer the clay or the hard courts?
I used to love the way the courts, the game was built on clay, but the grass now, they're having longer rallies, and the players are doing more on grass these days, so I'm actually quite enjoying it. So it's quite amazing how green, how slippery the grass seems this year, actually, because they tend to just manicure it, and it's interesting. But I'll tell you an interesting little stat. If you look at the grass, where in the older days, and I'm going back a few years, you found that all the grass was wearing around the service line, because they used to serve and volley more and come in more. Now it wears more on the baseline. It's quite interesting how that works. But what's happening is the players are getting more variety on the grass. They're doing serve and volleying. They're rallying. I quite like it now. I'm seeing better rallies, and the players are returning better. So it's not short and fast points, which sometimes can make it a little bit, nice to watch, if you want to call it, on building points, because I think you want to see a lot of balls being hit and really all sorts of play on these courts. Absolutely.
Well, the finals to come tonight for the women, tomorrow night for the men. David, always great chatting tennis with you. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, enjoyable.
Yeah, it was enjoyable. Thanks, David. David Mustard there with a look at the men's and women's singles finals at Wimbledon. Women's tonight, Tunisian 6th seed Ons Jabeur up against the unseeded Czech player Margetta Vondrousova. And then tomorrow night, one to whet the appetite, perhaps, or that's probably the wrong phrase, to get the juices flowing, perhaps, is more likely. Novak Djokovic up against Carlos Alcaraz. Can the young buck, the 20-year-old Carlos Alcaraz, stop this seemingly indestructible force that is Novak Djokovic on the grass at Wimbledon, looking for a 5th straight title and an 8th overall, which would draw him level with Roger Federer, who's always been, regarded as the king of that surface? Well, Djokovic is going to draw level with him on 8 Wimbledon titles if he wins tomorrow night.
For more from Weekend Sport with Jason Pine, listen live to News Talk ZB weekends from midday, or follow the podcast on iHeartRadio.